We have a free pattern for you.
And the best thing, it's free forever. Hi, it's Fran Morgan.
And Donna Robertson with Fabric Café.
We have a great free pattern for you today.
And we're always excited about a free pattern, but we're more excited about this one because we're going to make it free forever.
Plus, we've got something a little extra for you on this pattern. We're going to tell you all about it, but first, let's look at the quilt. So this is our awareness pattern, and you can see how beautiful it looks in these purples. Now we have 2 blocks to make the awareness. We have a solid block here, which is our main one for our focus fabric. And what's really great about this is it will accommodate a directional fabric, which is perfect. Now our alternate block here, very simple. This is just done with strip piecing, so it's going to go together really, really fast. And as you can see, when you alternate these blocks, it creates this fun pattern, great movement. Now on this strip piece block, or alternate block, we have a nice little area right here that can take something a little special that we want to share with you. So let's get it on the table and check that out. So our block A is a strip piece block and our block B is just a rectangle, so that's simple. So let's step through our block A. It's very, very easy to do. So what we've done here is we have a strip piece unit that we've sewn the long strips together, and then we've cut a section off. And we're going to cut 2 of those. So this makes it very, very simple. You know how that works. Now we have a second strip assembly where we do something very similar, but we've kind of reversed our colors here. We've sewed the long strips together, and then we cut off a bigger piece. So now we have 3 pieces from our strip assemblies. We're going to sew this one to this side and this one to this side. Now I'll show you on the quilt because it's very, very simple. So as you can see, this one goes right here, this one goes right here, and this one goes just like this. Now we do have our seam allowances on this, and that's why it looks a little bigger, but this block is so easy and so fast to put together. So I love that about this. Okay, now, because we are talking about making charity quilts, donation quilts, and I know that all of you love to do that, we have added something a little special to the pattern, which I want to share with you. We have included an applique pattern so that you can add the ribbon for awareness. Now, there's lots of different colors, and you can choose what color.
And there's also a website that you can go to that actually tells you what the different colors are for the different ribbons.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Now, also let me mention, if you're going to be putting a ribbon on your quilt, you'll need some additional fabric. The fabric in the 3-yard kit will not quite be enough, so just use some extra fabric. So we've included this with the pattern. We have one going one direction, and then we have it reversed for you. So if you want it to go a certain way, you have both options. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a little bit of a paperback fusible web. And you know, I love using this stuff. We have a paper on one side and a rough side that has our glue. We're going to place it just right on top of the pattern. And I love that you can see through it. This makes it so simple.
It does.
And then you're just going to trace these lines just like this. Now I have one over here already traced, and it's just this easy. I mean, you just trace it, and then we're going to cut it out. Now we have a sample here where you can see we've cut it out around the outside of the lines that we traced. We're going to fuse it to the wrong side of the fabric. And as I mentioned, there's a rough side and a paper side. It's the rough side that's the glue, so that's what's fused to the wrong side of your fabric. And then we're going to just take a sharp pair of scissors, and we're going to cut this out following the trace lines that we have here.
I remember when I first tried using the paperback fusible that I learned very quickly that it's so much easier if you leave that margin around it until after you've put it on the fabric. I will have to admit, nobody ever showed me, so my first couple of ones, I think I cut it completely out, and it just works so much better if you go ahead and put it on your fabric first.
Yeah. The paper actually helps you cut it out more precisely.
It does.
So that paper being there is great. So you can see how quickly this is going. Now we want to cut out this little hole here, and one of the ways that I do that is I just fold it like this, kind of give it a clip with my scissors and make a hole so that I can then come in here and cut this out following that line. And that's going to make it super, super easy so that you can make your ribbon. Okay, I think you've got that, so let me show you the next step. We have one here all cut out, and here is a block that's all sewn together. We're just going to fuse this directly onto our block. Now, to do that, we're going to peel the paper off the back. And a little trick that I like to do is to take my index finger and my thumb and just roll it. And whenever you roll it like this, it will separate. You see how that separated the paper from the fabric? And then it gives you a little place to just pull it. And then we are going to center it right on our block there. We're going to use an iron with a cotton setting with no steam and press it just for a couple of seconds, and that will fuse it down. So this is very simple to do. Now I have one here that is all finished, and you can see that we've just used a blanket stitch on our machine to go around the edges, and we chose a little bit darker thread just because it kind of helped the ribbon pop. And I think it turned out great, and I think this is really special.
I think it is too. And one thing we want to point out too, as you see, Fran put this on the block, not on a finished quilt, because it is hard to do all of that turning and twisting after it's been quilted.
Yes, because all that bulk.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is a very manageable size whenever you're doing the applique. And whenever you quilt it, you can quilt right over the top. So it makes it super simple. Now let's talk about what this is going to look like when you put ribbons on your quilt, which is so cool. So you can see the image on the screen, how we've placed the ribbons in all of those blocks. I think it's so sweet.
It really does add a little oomph to the quilt as well for that gift that you're giving to someone.
I really love it. And you know, this fabric is just gorgeous. The floral is pretty. That alternate block, so super fast to put together. And that little touch with the ribbon. And you know, you could put it in every block like we've shown here, or you could just put it maybe in a corner block or something like that, just to heighten that awareness so that whenever you're donating a quilt, it's just a little bit of something special. So let's look at the fabric that this is made with, because it's gorgeous.
It is so pretty.
The purples and the greens are so pretty together. It definitely speaks to me. And as you can see, it makes a beautiful quilt. So we have this floral here as our focus, and it goes in our nice rectangle block here, which is our block B. And then we have a really nice, soft, it's not gray, it's not brown. How do you say that word? Grayish?
Grayish. That's a good way to say it.
It's kind of like that, but what it does is it adds such a nice warmth, but it keeps our contrast, which is perfect. And you can see it's just gorgeous.
It's like a tan with some gray in it.
Yeah, and it has some highs and lows, so it really gives you some nice dimension. And then for our number 3, we've chosen this texture that's kind of a rich, yummy purple that goes so well with our focus fabric. And as you can see here, it's in our block A as well as on our border here. I think this is stunning.
I think it is too. It's a beautiful quilt.
It really is. This color combination is just so great. The information on this kit, it is called Peaceful Purples, and it is our awareness pattern, which is free.
Now we have another kit with fabrics that would be absolutely stunning in this as well. You know, these blocks are not huge, but they're nice size.
Yeah.
So this is the perfect size motif to go in that number 1 spot, I think.
I love this fabric. I think it's like structured bohemian, which I think it's cool because I love all the little medallions and all the colors within those little medallions. It's really pretty.
I like it too.
Yeah.
And in staying with the purpose of the awareness quilt, we're going to keep that number 2 a light color, so if you wanted to add ribbons, you could. And that's going to go in every spot here. And then this will be your number 3, and isn't that pretty? It's the same medallions that are on the focus fabric. It's going to be the number 3 fabric that are bordering the blocks.
I love this. I love it when we can find a number 3, and I love it for number 2 fabrics as well.
Absolutely.
But when there's a texture or a pattern there, but it still has so much punch, and this one does.
But like we said, for our number 2 this time, we're always saying use interesting number twos, but we're going to add that interest with the ribbon.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, so this one is really nice.
I love the medallions in the focus fabric.
I do too.
Oh, it's so great.
You know, this is such a nice structured quilt. It just has the perfect balance in there with all of the little squares and the way that it's moving back and forth. It's really charming.
It is, and so fast to make. I can't wait to see lots of pictures from everybody sending it in with what they've done.
Absolutely.
So this is such a great quilt awareness, and you know, it is going to be free on our website forever. And you know that's special because normally we switch those out every few months.
That's right. So this one's going to be there forever.
That's great. And all you have to do to get this is go to fabriccafe.com, go to our free goodies tab, and there you will see the free pattern section that you can click on and you can download it. So it's perfect.
It is absolutely perfect. So this kit information is Rejuvenation is the name of the kit, and Awareness is the pattern.
So our next kit I want to share with everyone is something that I really love, and that is we have put an ombre fabric in our focus position. And there is nothing more interesting than using an ombre in a quilt.
I'll agree with that.
And this one is really extraordinary. It has so many beautiful pinks and golds and lights and darks with it. And it's ombre, it's light at one selvage and darker and more heavily printed at the opposite selvage. So I think it's going to work really, really well in the quilt. And whenever you do this, make sure that you lay your blocks out so that you can organize them and make that great pattern. And we're going to show you an image in a minute, and you'll see what I mean. But this will be our focus fabric going in the nice rectangular block here, which it's going to pick up all these colors, and I think it's great. And then, of course, Mom, as you mentioned, which I thought was a really good point, we've kept our number 2 a really nice, clean number 2. It's a nice cream. And it has a very faint texture on it so that if you still want to put those ribbons on that number 2 fabric in the middle of this block, you certainly can. And of course, this is going to be our corners, our middle, and a little on the border. And then our number 3 is this great pink, little bit of a textury dot there that coordinates so well with our focus fabric. And it is going to be these little spots right here on our block as well as on the border to frame it in nicely. So I really love this, and I am anxious to share this image with you. So as you can see that the fabric kind of ombres from the bottom of the quilt to the top. So when you cut your blocks out, go ahead and lay them out as I was mentioning, and you're going to get this fabulous look.
Oh, you really are.
I really, really like it. And another tip that I would say when using an ombre is when you sew your border strips together, sew the light ends together and then sew the dark ends together so that it just goes light to dark on your border. So it's going to look perfect, just like the image on the screen. I love this pattern with this fabric.
Well, I do have a question because you're saying laying it out just like you would cut it out of the fabric, but I've actually seen it where people scatter it around, so it actually creates more of a scrappy look.
I like that too.
So you can do that as well.
I love it. So I love ombre fabrics because it gives you so much flexibility and interest in that one fabric. It's just one fabric that gives you all those different colors.
It
It's
absolutely
so cool.
does.
All right, let me give you the kit information on this one. It is called Pink Tranquility, and once again, it is our awareness pattern, which is free on our website.
You know, Fran, I'm loving all of the variety that we're getting in these fabrics for this awesome pattern. And I like Paisleys.
Yes, they're fun.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that all of these kits are bright colors and they're very happy prints, which I think is very good if you're using it for a charity quilt.
Absolutely. Now, this Paisley is great with the purples and the yellows and the reds. It's just so pretty.
It is very pretty.
And we're going to put this Paisley print in the number 1 spot. And I think it's going to look so great. You know, sometimes we have unexpected colors in a fabric, and I think this is one of them for me because that gold is really just, it just kind of almost makes it look like it's lit from behind.
Yeah, it's very rich. It's very, very pretty.
And our number 2 fabric is actually, it works perfectly with the number 1 fabric because it has this color in those Paisleys as well. So it really does coordinate well. And that's going everywhere you see the number 2 or the lighter color. And then our number 3 is this beautiful purple. Look at that. Whoa, yummy, yummy.
That is yummy. And once again, that great texture. Love it.
And that's going to be everywhere that you see the number 3 fabric that is used in this strip piecing, as well as on the border and the binding. So now that you've seen the fabric, let's show you an image that is awesome. Look at that.
It is great. And you know, it seems like anything we put into this pattern looks fabulous.
It is, you know, that's just so simple with the 3-yard quilts that you pick out a focus, a light and a dark, and you're going to get a fantastic looking.
Yes, I agree. And the Paisley on the focus position really gives it a lot of movement, I think, in that block. And I think it's really cool how it all comes together.
And that's why we call it focus fabric, because you want to focus on it and see something fun.
It is really good.
Okay, so this one is called Paisley Delight, and it's the awareness pattern that we've used.
Now, before we move on any further, I want to point out the quilt that is behind us. This is also the awareness quilt, and it is done in beautiful oranges and creams, and I love this combination. And I have some fabric, and let's step through that so you can see. So we have our gorgeous floral. And as you can see from the quilt behind me, that this is going in our focus position in this nice big block here. And I love the dimension in this fabric. The oranges, our golds, our greens on our leaves. And then in the background, there's another little outline of a floral.
It really does give it depth.
It gives it so much depth, and I just think it's striking. And you can see it makes up beautifully. And then our number 2, once again, is a beautiful kind of cream. It's very, very warm with a very faint texture, so that once again, we could put that ribbon on there if we wanted to. And then our number 3, and I love this. This is a beautiful kind of corally orange with a kind of tone-on-tone print of a butterfly.
And you know, I'm seeing more and more of these really dark, kind of a reverse image fabrics that we've used in these quilts. They're gorgeous.
They are gorgeous. And I think it gives the pop of color, but it still gives you the flavor of the whole feel of the quilt, which I really like.
I do too. And you know, our eye picks it up even if we maybe don't call it a focus fabric.
That's true. You are absolutely right, because its job is to get you to focus on the focus fabric, which it works,
right,
as you can see.
And if you are falling in love with all of these fabrics the way I am, you need to keep in mind that we do have limited quantities on all of our kits.
Yes. All right, let's get you the kit information on this one. This is called Garden Society, and once again, we have put it in our awareness pattern.
There's not many quilts that really are near and dear to my heart that are greater than blue quilts. I love blue quilts.
And orange ones, and pink ones, and red ones.
Good point. I think you could say we love quilts.
Yes, and fabric. We love fabric.
And I know you're having fun seeing lots of different fabrics in this quilt, but we're having fun too, because it is a lot of fun to pick out fabric and put it in a quilt and just see it in lots and lots of different versions.
It is. There's nothing better than just looking at the images of the quilts with the fabric.
Absolutely.
So pretty. And this one?
Yes, and we're going to show you a great image in just one moment. But right now, let's look at the positioning of this. We do have our focus fabric that's going in the focus fabric block right here. And then we have our number 2 fabric, and we're staying with that same type of theme. We're leaving it where it's subtle so that we could put ribbons in there if we wanted to. And I love this because it just has a little hint of color in the background on that number 2 fabric. Isn't that pretty?
It is really, really pretty. And it's just a hint.
Yeah.
You still get that pop for that number 2 for the, where your eye rests. But it's great.
And then for our number 3, isn't that gorgeous? It looks like it's the watercolor where they put the little bit of water on top of the paint and make it run just a little bit. That is so pretty.
It is so pretty.
And it really does go well with the number 1 fabric that also looks like it might be watercolor.
And it's neat because the roses on the focus kind of go light and dark, and so does the number 3 fabric. It kind of has that light and dark depth and texture to it. It's very
So that's going to frame our number our A block, and then we're also going to use it out on the border. So as I mentioned, we have an awesome image that we want you to look at, and isn't that, it's just so fresh.
It is fresh, and I love it. You know, sometimes we talk about monochromatic quilts and we think, how do we get the interest? Well, this pattern, if you even do all blues like we have here, or all purples or whatever, it works so well. This is such an easy but interesting pattern to put all these different fabrics in, and this rose looks beautiful in it.
I agree totally. It does have a lot of interest in it.
Absolutely.
Now this kit is called Inspiring Blooms, and it's the awareness pattern.
Now, I loved that we were able to give that little extra applique for this so you can add the ribbons to the quilt. Now, have you done applique? What are your thoughts on it? We'd love to hear.
And if you make this quilt, be sure to send us a picture. We love to see how you've used our patterns with your fabrics. So send your pictures to welisten@fabriccafe.com.
And if you would like to see more quilts with applique, be sure to check out the video that pops up. It's Fran Morgan
And Donna Robertson with Fabric Cafe.
Happy quilting!